Okay. Surprise, we're in a different room. We're actually one room over. You can see the sink from the kitchen. It's right there. Welcome to the other room. I tried to get this working in there, and our fruit is just too big for my workspace in the kitchen. So we have hauled on into here. Hi, Selena. Yes, this is different. Also, congratulations. You are first today. It's quite warm today as well, and the air conditioner is actually in this room, so if I run it, it would make a whole bunch of noise. So we're going to just be kind of toasty today. Say hello to my shelf with some Legos on it. Say hello to the other shelf with food items this is where I go when I walk out of the room looking for stuff. It's over here. And the main event today, I've had a little sniffle today too, so I apologize if I sniffle at you. The main event today, this beast. Here he is. He's spilling over the sides of our cutting board. I might even grab some plastic, which is over. I have some. But this is our main event today. I got this on Monday, and I intended to break it open on Tuesday, and then I lost track of Tuesday completely. And then I'm busy on Wednesday, and I should have done it yesterday. Every day this thing has been sitting there, it has been getting slightly worse. It started out with a little soft spot on the bottom end, and that soft spot is now about that big. About that big. It was a little tiny thing, it's about that big. So we're probably going to lose a little bit off the bottom end. But yeah, we're going to find out what this thing is like. Now, this should be a ripe jackfruit. So I don't know what to... I'm not entirely sure what to expect getting in there. So yeah, step one is just going to be break this thing down, see what we're working with, come up with plans. We can cook. We can still cook here in the room because I have a hot plate. But we're going to keep that out of the way. We're going to keep that out of the way until we know what we're doing. Until we know what we're doing. So, the beast. The beast. Step one. I got my biggest, meanest knife. I'm also working with one screen today, which is a little bit awkward. Normally I've got the stuff sort of split out over here. Not so today. Slightly awkward. But I wish I had like a big cleaver to just whack into this thing. Where do you even begin? Is this a soft? I'm also a little worried it might be bad on the inside, so I guess we just find out. We just find out. We've been in this room a few times. This is where I've done my Legos, although the setup was different then. And this is where I want to do arts and crafts, maybe. It smells like it's an overripe fruit. Well, that's what we're working with. There's clearly a bad spot, but it's not massively extensive. So we'll just kind of work our way around it. The rest of it looks pretty okay to me. Now these yellow bits should come out like this. And that's the fruit that you're working with. And when you make meat substitute out of this, what you're using is the stuff in between, which is this fibrous stuff. But that's the ripe fruit, and this smells ripe. And then it's got these big old seeds that are supposedly also edible, but they're covered in a little skin that you're supposed to take off. And I'm going to try to break this guy down into parts. So we're just kind of going ham on it. I brought my bowls in here so we could just dump stuff as I go. We're definitely going to lose a bit there where that obviously brown discolored bit is. That doesn't look good. But that's always the danger of getting a bargain bin anything. This was a jackfruit out of the bargain bin. I don't know when else I would have gotten one. How do you eat it? Well, what jackfruit is most famous for is the meat substitute, which is usually done with unripe jackfruit. It has this, I don't know how well you can see, it has these fibers that run in between the yellow fruit bits, and when it's unripe, they take that, chop it up, and it sort of shreds apart like pork does. And you kind of make sort of, it doesn't taste like meat, but it has a meaty texture to it. This guy, and then you'll find that like canned in brine. That's how I most often see it, because people don't really like working with the whole dang thing. But when they're ripe, which this one is definitely overripe, these things are supposed to be quite fruity. And I've seen these packed in syrup, but I've never actually tasted this stuff. So I don't know for sure what we're working with. I suppose I should taste it now. It's not juicy. It's a little bit dry, but it's sweet, it's soft. It's excuse me. It's sweet, it's soft. A little bit of a vegetable-y crunch to it, but not a really strong one. The flavor is very mild. Flavor is very mild. It reminds me of papaya, but like a really mild papaya. Sort of just a gentle tropical flavor to it. That's quite interesting. I don't know what to do with that big thing in the middle. We might just be discarding that. I'm not sure. I'm glad this isn't... So when they're not ripe, the reason I was worried to maybe put plastic down, and I didn't ultimately do that, but the reason I was talking about it, when they're not ripe, when they're green, they're full of a very sticky latex-like sap that gets everywhere. So I was a little concerned that there might be some of that happening, but I believe this one is overripe to the point where there's none of that left. And then you can also eat the seeds, and I'm going to try that. I have no idea what the seeds are going to taste like. You're supposed to cook those first. Oh, this knife is just barely big enough to get this job done. Wish I had a bit of a bigger knife. I've never seen a whole one of these before in the store, available for purchase. So I just had to give this thing a try. Oh, you can really see here the fibrousness of that that stuff in between the fruity bits. Okay, okay. So yeah, big part of the front end of this is just going to be me. I don't know if the core is edible. It might just be... So these are, you might notice from the structure, if you're familiar with plant structure, these things are related to mulberries. And just like the mulberry, it's got this core with these little individual fruit pods sort of attached to it, but scaled up to enormous size and with this pointy skin. I have no idea if that part is edible. It doesn't. It feels kind of spongy. It feels kind of spongy. It probably can eat it, and I imagine it's probably not terribly pleasant. That would be my guess. But I suppose I could find out. Again, I've never even seen a whole one of these before this one, because they are so enormous that I don't think the places around here typically think they can sell them. The most I've seen is like a chunk of one. Like I've seen like just that piece in a plastic wrap. I do have a chair. I can sit with you. So yeah, there's just going to be sort of a me breaking this thing down. We're going to save the seeds. Now, when I mentioned the jackfruit on Monday, the suggestion was waffles, which is a little bit of an odd suggestion, but I have taken it to heart and I'm prepared to make waffles in here and use this as like a fruit topping. I need a smaller knife to get in there. Paring knife. But let's... And what I've heard is that when it's ripe like this, you don't end up wanting to eat this, the fibrous part. But we can give it a go. I'm not afraid to give it a test. You're supposed to like... I did a little reading to have an idea of what I was getting myself into. Yeah, like that. You're supposed to be able to break these sort of pods apart. Yeah. And you get a whole one out, like so. Isosceles, hi! And then in the middle of each one of the pods is a seed. And the seed has this So there's some scrap because the seed has a skin on it. You can eat this part, and you're supposed to be able to eat that part. And then the remaining sort of fibers that are holding it together, I think, just eyeballing them right now, look perhaps a bit too tough. They're really holding on to these fruit chunks. But how's it going, isosceles? Welcome in. Oop. My phone dinged. I will be ignoring that for the moment. And we're also keeping an eye out for anything that looks gnarly, because again, this one was a bargain bin. But I think we're going to get most of the bulk of this guy out in one piece. Boy, just looking at how much of this fruit there is, I'm probably going to have to do multiple things with this. Because it's enormous. What would you make with this monster? If you had to, if you were presented with this thing and said, make food, make a food. I need a bigger scrap bowl, for sure. For sure. And today, I wasn't aware of it, but I guess it started happening today. Twitch is giving out subs to people. They're throwing in bonus subs for gift subs, and they're going crazy with it. They're doing like this morning. Redbeard got 10 bonus subs off of a 5 sub gift. It was crazy. Blemish, hi. You would make curry. Now this is a ripe jackfruit, so it's sweet and fruity. Although it's not as tender as I think I thought it might be. But sweet and fruity also works with curry. I've had fruit curries. Also, hello. I don't have my full screen open. Today, so you're all gonna sneak up on me continually. I can't see you approaching. Oop. There are a few little gnarly bits. Based on the texture of this is the core I cut out of it. It's really tough. And it has a texture like a packing foam. And I don't even think I want to give it an attempt, honestly. So I'm going to say, in answer to your earlier question, is the core edible? No, it looks really not edible. It might be edible when it's not fully ripe and hasn't toughened up, but at this stage, it's like couch stuffing. which is unfortunate. It means there's a big chunk in the middle of this thing that's just going to go down the tubes. I should try one of these fibers and see how tough they are. Oh. I think the fibers really toughen up as well. That was not dissimilar to biting a tendon. Liz, hi. We are, in fact, dissecting the jackfruit. There's a ton of it. So we're open to ideas because I think I could make like 6 different things out of this. And we're determining that the core and the fibers are probably not workable when the jackfruit is this overripe. They seem quite tough. And there's a little bit of a bad spot as well. You can see it's sort of in the corner over here that we're going to work our way around, which is just the curse of having gotten bargain bin overripe fruit. I could tell it was starting to go off because the fruit flies found it. When I brought it home, the fruit flies did not initially find it, and then like 2 days later, the fruit flies started noticing it. So that'll be when it started to really sort of go. They are excellent at locating fruit that started to go. So yeah, how's everyone's week been? It's been busy around these parts. I lost track of time on Tuesday, obviously. I found a new gadget that I didn't buy because I'm not sure if it's worth it. But the person at the Habitat for Humanity said it had been there for weeks, so I think it'll still be there if I change my mind. It's a pressure oven. It looks like a hybrid between a toaster oven and a pressure cooker. It's such a strange thing. I just don't know what I would use it. We can try to do the pulled pork jackfruit, but that's typically made with the unripe, and I'm worried that this stuff is, this is the part that normally you turn into, you guys are so far away. These fibers are the part that normally you turn into the meat substitute, and they seem awfully tough to me. But we can give them a go. They definitely need to be cooked. They're so tough right now. I'm most curious about the seeds, actually. Which are supposed to be tasty when boiled. I might even just get enough to work with and do the rest of this off camera. Well, the fibers part, you'll see them labeled as young jackfruit or green jackfruit or something like along those lines because the meat substitute is typically made, I think exclusively made, with the unripe fruit. Because I've also seen ripe jackfruit in cans separately, and it's packed in a syrup. And it's these things, these yellow pods. I'm cutting a few little bits off of them. It's these guys, these in a can. So, hi, Bookwoman. No help from your end. Gotcha. I just looking at these strands, and I tried biting through one of them, and it was like trying to bite a tendon. They're so tough. They might soften up when you cook them. It's possible. We can give it a go. But also, they seem awfully tough. And boy, you get a lot out of one of these. It's definitely sugary because my hands are becoming sticky as I go. We could do the magic pot. The magic pot's in the other room still, but we could definitely give it a go in the magic pot. I also have a hot plate so that we can cook in here without me having to move cameras, because I don't believe I could do that mid-show without breaking everything. I almost broke everything just trying to hook this up as it is. I'm trying to cut away some of the gnarly bits as we go. So all the pods are out of it, and that's what's left, and it's, honestly, there's not a ton of volume there. And it's really well adhered to the skin, too. And that's an eighth. That's an eighth of one fruit. This is an undertaking. If I figure out if I can speed this up at all. And maybe not shred it quite so much if I want to try cooking with the fibrous part. Because then I've got a chunk there. A little bit of core on it, a little bit of skin on it, but there's no fruity thing in the middle, and it also hasn't been just shredded apart. Obviously, the skin is not edible because it's this like spiky alligator stuff. You know what that looks like? I don't know if you can quite see. You know what that looks like? That looks exactly like when I skin a breadfruit. And I think they're related. I want to get away from that soft spot. I think that soft spot is going to trip me up. Okay. If we've got a soft spot there, and we want to try to preserve some of the fibers to see if we can cook them. Oh, we got a soft spot there too. But then if I just sort of whack a slice off, whack a slice off. Get the seeds out. Cut off our little soft spot, and we could try cooking that too. How much did this one cost me? This one I had to negotiate a little bit because they were going to chop it up and sell it in the discount bin as parts, and I wanted a whole one because I wanted to break it down myself. So we did a little negotiating, and they let me have the whole shebang for 10 bucks. So it's a little bit more pricey than my normal bargain hunting. I knew they had to be cooked, similar to chestnuts. Okay. They are slightly soft. They're not like a really hard. Well, you can see this knife goes through them. So they're not really hard. They're solid, but they're not like rock hard, which is what chestnuts are. Okay, I feel like I should try cooking some of this. Poster's falling off the wall behind me. I've just put that up there to make the background look less dull, and it just does not want to stay. Let me move it before it destroys itself. Oh. Okay. Let's shift everybody over. I definitely, I should just get the compost bucket right here. I gotta shift everybody over to the other side because the wash my hands real quick. And this is induction. So our induction cooker, and the way to know if your pan will work on induction is you take a magnet and you stick it to the bottom, and if it sticks, you can induct with that pan. And I found out in my testing that one of my favorite pans, this one that we see all the time, is the little steel, what I thought was a little steel pot. This thing is not magnetic at all, which means it's not steel. So now I don't know what to think of that pan. I need a tongs and an oil. I'm just gonna try cooking this. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna find out what happens. We're gonna take one of these pieces. We're going to cut it even thinner, actually. Oil up our pan, turn on our induction. We're also going to find out if this thing screws with my sound at all, because it's a magnet. So, moment of truth, does this thing mess with the stream? How's the sound for you? It's OBS is picking something up for sure. Is it really loud? Okay. So the way induction works is it's a spinning magnetic field. Don't use full power on a cold pan. It'll bend it. Interesting. It only comes in when I stop talking. Well, I'll just keep talking. OBS is picking up a lot of static. Don't use it in cold pan. Is the jet taking off? So we're I turned it down a little bit too. I hope maybe that helps. For me, there is like a high-pitched whistle almost coming off of it. But I'm sure that the magnet is interfering with the microphone somehow. This is the first time I've used this for cooking. I have test driven it just as boiling water, and it makes a different sound with each pan that you put on it, which is fun. I didn't know that about max power. I will keep that in mind. I'm trying to keep my distance, but I don't know that that matters. Let me know if this is intolerable, and we will stop and figure something else out. But I tell you what, it sure as hell heats up fast. Let me grab some salt. Keep that here. And a little plate. We're just giving it a test drive, cooking the jackfruit. It's getting smoky. It's getting a little bit burned. I should probably turn it down. Okay, I cooked it. Hot and fast just to see, just to find out. I don't need paper towels. The induction cooker is something that I've been meaning to get used to as well. You guys haven't seen it because I don't need it in the other room. Fork, knife. Taste it. Okay. Okay. Oh. Pop me back over to the me. I should center that a little bit better. The halo. Okay, I guess let's find out what it do. Well, the fruity part is edible. And it kind of loses its sweetness, but it's taken on a caramel note, which is kind of fun. Let's try the core. Ooh, the core cuts quite easily. Oh, interesting. The texture on the core is not bad at all, but it's sponged up the oil. Huh? It's way less. It's like eggplant. It's like eggplant texture, but not. It might eventually go slimy if you go too far with it, but at the moment it's like, I don't know, like a almost like a gourd. I thought it was going to be very like styrofoamy texture, but it's not. Makes me want to actually cut a piece off over here and see what it does completely raw. Oh, no, no, it definitely cooked because the raw was terrible. Okay, so you can cook that middle thing and eat it. That is definitely a thing that happened. And then the other part is these fibers, and I already have a bad feeling about them because I was unable to cut them with my knife. Ugh. Get a sharper knife. It breaks down. It's really hard to cut. It's really hard to cut, but you can chew it. Okay. Okay. So I would say all parts of this are usable in various ways. Because now that I'm actually chewing that, it sort of has this pleasant chewy, it's like a pleasantly chewy texture. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Okay. So I think we can work with all the parts of this if we want to. I don't think the fibrous part tastes like anything. It's just kind of fibery. These fruity things have the most flavor for sure. The seeds might as well. We will have to give this a think because it's a little more complex than I think I initially considered. The trouble I think with the fibery part is just that once you've got these fruit nuggets out of it, I wouldn't cook them all together like this. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that really worked. Because I feel like they want to cook at slightly different paces. And I don't know that you even want to necessarily cook the big fruity nuggets. They didn't really get improved in that process. So we're going to keep disassembling. But we're going to hang on. You're gonna chuck the whole thing in a blender. I think this would probably bind up my blender. It's weirdly dry. It eventually gives you this slight sticky feeling on your fingers because there's clearly some sugar in it, but it's not juicy. It's this strangely dry texture. So you probably have to add liquid to it if you want to make a syrup or a compote or a jam. Give it the big think. All my ingredients are in the other room now, of course. And the nuts. I really want to try boiling the nuts. That sounds potentially like the best part of this. Okay. Boy, there's a lot of this thing. Jay, hi. Yes, welcome. We're in the other room because this was too ambitious a fruit to deal with in the kitchen. And we just did a test cook here. I can see my color balance has gone a little bit weird. We just did a test cook, and I've determined that everything but the outer skin of this thing is edible. I just don't know what we're going to do with it. And there's a ton of it. So if you have any suggestions, or just, hey, give this a test, throw it at me, and I will probably do it because I have more than enough of this stuff to go around. We have a hot plate for cooking purposes out here. Where are jackfruits from? I believe they are from like the islands in the Southeast Asia, Oceania realm. But feel free to double check me on that. But at the moment, we're just sort of disassembling. The only bit we haven't taste tested at all is the seeds, which are supposed to be, according to our own research here, not just edible, but like chestnut. The jackfruit tree is well suited to tropical lowland and is widely cultivated throughout tropical regions of the world, including India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, rainforests of the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Australia. There you go. Thank you, Jay. The knowledge of Canadians never ceases to amaze. Like, I would have had to look that up. A lot of recipes I think you'll find are going to be for the green jackfruit, which we discussed the differences earlier. This is a ripe jackfruit. Although, with the fibers edible, since we're saving that part now as well, I think we might chuck those in the pressure cooker and see what it can make of them. I probably shouldn't do this whole thing on camera, because we still have an entire half of the fruit here that I haven't even touched, plus another eighth here, and then another eighth there. Oh, I was completely fooled, and I thought you knew that off the top of your head. There's actually quite a lot of fruit coming out of this thing. The fully hulled out piece here does not have that much left to it. The seeds are extremely slippery. I bet you could accidentally swallow one of these things whole and almost not notice it. And I imagine that's the point. A big animal's supposed to eat these things and just like take a chomp out of it, and the seed just kind of slides on down. How much of this do I want to prepare? How long before just disassembling the fruit and talking becomes boring? Yeah, I'm going to figure out multiple things to do with this. I will have to do some brainstorming, and I'm definitely not going to disassemble the whole thing here with you. It's just too much time. I wanted the initial crack open to be for the show. But yeah, I'm going to have to do something with it where it preserves part of it. I forgot to weigh it. I was going to weigh the whole thing just to see how much we had, just how big of a fruit this thing was. I forgot to do that. Now it's all chopped up, so oh well. It was before the discount, because they weighed it to see what they were working with. It was $1.69 a pound, and it came to about $26. And then they didn't weigh it out at a new weight for me. They just said, you can have it for $10. So somebody can back trace that to see how much it weighed. Or not, if nobody cares. Also an option. Don't cut directly into your hand. I will say I probably won't get a whole one of these ever again. This is a good do this once experience, and then if I ever want to work with it again, I'll just get it portions. Because wowee, they were incredulous at the store when I said I wanted to buy the whole thing. You sure? You sure you want the whole thing? And I'm like, yep. I want that whole thing. 15 pounds. So somewhere in that, I don't remember exactly how much it came to, but somewhere in that neighborhood. I think we're going to finish this chunk out. And then I have a full bowl there, a bowl here, and we can set some things on to find out what they do. So yeah, if you have, if you really want me to do any experiment with it, please pipe up. We obviously have more than enough to work with for any old random nonsense idea. Oop, that one's overripe. That chunk is going a little bit mushy. Bookwoman says curry. We could try a curry. One of you up above said curry too. Something Flemish. Flemish said pie. Now we were talked about that earlier, Bookwoman. It is used as a meat substitute. It is a very common meat substitute, but that is again the green jackfruit, which is the unripe jackfruit, is typically what is used for that. As opposed to this, which is the ripe jackfruit. These yellow things that I keep pulling out, I taste tested the first one, and they have a tropical... It reminds me most of like a very, very mild papaya flavor. And the part that we would use as a meat substitute is this part over here, these fibers that are holding it all together. But they're a little on the tough side when it's this ripe. They toughen up to hold on to the sweet fruity innards. But I did just prove that you can eat this part, so I think we're going to attempt to cook it. Getting it off of the skin is a little annoying. The skin is obviously not edible. Okay. Now we got to cook in here. As well. So let me do stuff real quick. You can still see me. I'm over here in the corner. Okay, I'm going to put a pot of water on with our seeds. And give that a go. I wish I had my multiple burners in here. Oh. Two requests for a curry. Someone said chuck the whole thing in a blender, see what it does. We can boil the seeds. Let me know if that goes loud again. This one is much quieter for me than the other pan was, so maybe we'll get away with it. I have noticed that each pan reacts differently, makes different noises. So again, let me know if that becomes intolerable, or if you're hearing something that I'm not. Ooh. I should have gotten a fresh compost bucket for this project. We are gonna fill this one up. Okay, this part is our meat. Suppose I don't need the green board now. I can switch to a nicer board. This is just the biggest one. We can transfer the magic pot from the other room, actually. There's no reason it can't live in here with us. Cutting up the fibers here a little bit, just because I feel like I don't want them to be super long in whatever we do with them. And I'm still a little concerned that this might just not be very nice. And then these guys are edible as is, but kind of boring, actually. Like, they're nice. Tender, fruity, sweet, tropical. Just a hint of juiciness to them. You can definitely just eat these as is. And obviously, they are actually the bulk of the fruit, which is nice. if we do a curry, magic pot curry. Okay. That chunk of the fruit is going to go out of my way. Set that aside. That one can be our display piece. Don't think I'm going to salvage this one. I'm just going to say not worth the trouble. Okay. If I want now someone said you said curry, tacos. I also know that it is done as a pulled pork with barbecue sauce. Oh boy, that magic pot's heavy. Okay, the magic pot. Is here. Ooh, and it's magic pot is here. Doesn't quite reach the wall. It just barely reaches the wall. If I open it, you can't see at all because of the angle. But if I switch it this way, you can. We don't need that. We're not doing the air fry. That's the air fry plate. Okay. I wish I could get this guy a little bit closer to the middle. I need an extension cord. Do I have an extension cord? I might have one here. Oh, this is certainly a scuffed stream we have going on. Okay. That should give me enough length to put the pot in the cooking position, or in the viewing position, although the buttons are on your side. Our seeds have come to a boil over here. Let me make a thing. Let me grab some other ingredients real quick. Let me move that to the side for un momento. Okay. Jackfruit, onion, garlic, Pepper. Pepper. What am I aiming for? What am I aiming for? What am I aiming for? Oil. The oil's already out there. Flavors. I've got a lime, maybe. I've got some other kinds of peppers. I've got an eggplant. We have canned tomato. We could make like a sticky. Okay. Let's chuck some oil in our magic pot. Put it on. Should default to sear saute. It only has high and low. 4, 5, 4, 3. Using the functions of the magic pot that I don't normally use. Chop up our onion here real quick. So, what's everybody else having for dinner? What are you doing with your whole jackfruit that you got so that you could follow along with this nonsense? A spatula. I think I have a general idea of where I want to head with this. Salt. Y'all got jackfruit. I do this so you guys can follow along at home. You've been following along at home all this time, right? It'd be a shame if I did all this work and none of you made the things. Jay had a burger and chips. Made out of a whole jackfruit, right? My phone is ringing. And I do not wish to speak to Maryland. You're not brave. I don't believe that for a second. You just gotta find out. I'll say the tabletop is slightly too low here. Oh, and this thing wants to move. If I was ever going to cut myself, now's the time. coarsely chopped garlic because I wish this was 6 inches higher. Oop. So we're starting out onions and garlic. We're going to get them tender and started. Your new favorite horrible thing is Kraft Dinner with a bit of peanut butter and Frank's. Oh. Also, I hear that your version of this stuff is not as good. It's not as good in Canada. That's what people say. Because it doesn't have all the artificial stuff in it that's illegal. Now that was the store brand one. Okay, all of our jackfruit. Now, I actually hear that the one in Canada is distinctly different because it doesn't have the artificial crap in it. And that people who are like super nostalgic for the American one just reject it. But the real thing is that it's just different. Okay, I've got some ideas. Where we're taking this. We need our temperature up to 4. White cheddar mac and cheese. The white cheese ones always seem better. I agree with that. The white cheese ones always seem better, even though that doesn't make any sense because the only difference is that they didn't put the color in them. Bit more salt. Let me grab some vinegar. I think we're not going with curry. Some apple cider vinegar. We'll cook that out a little bit. I think we're going to make like a sticky tropical porky taco thing. Because another thing I've got here, just on hand randomly, is mango juice. And if we sort of lean savory with it, we'll take the sweetness, we'll make sort of a sticky, sweet, savory thing out of it. And also, we're going to test out those nuts and see what we can do with those nuts. Actually, we could bring this in the direction of a curry without going all the way, because I've also got some Vermont curry. Which is these little concentrate bricks. but they're not. But it's a Japanese curry, so it's super mild. Um, and I think it just might be like a stock cube. If we take one and just chuck it in there and let it dissolve, it'll help it thicken up. Why did I walk away? The box is out here. These things, if you can find them, the one you'll find most often is the other kind. They're just called. It's just called golden. Um, it's an instant. It's an instant curry, but it has no vegetables in it. It's just the roux. Um, and it's essentially just a bunch of flavor and thickeners. Um, and they're really handy for just sort of, you grab one and you chuck it in. It's like a stock cube. It's like a curry flavored stock cube that is also full of starches for thickening. And we're going to find out if this stuff breaks down as much as I hope it will as it simmers. Fingers crossed. Um, Vermont curry. Yes, Vermont, famous, world famous for their curries. Vermont curry, you can see up above here, it's got some Japanese text as well. The brand is based in Japan, product of Japan. I guess the idea is that Japanese people associate Vermont with honey and apples because that's what is up here in the corner is honey and apples, um, which means it's a slightly sweet and sort of thick curry. It's very strange. It's very strange. It's very strange, and it's kind of hard to understand how it came to be. But these instant curry cubes are very nice, and it'll help this thicken up without having to completely boil it away. And without totally overwhelming the flavors. Our nuts have taken a turn. The liquid is like, it looks like the water when you boil beets. It's taken on this really distinct red color. I'm not sure how my mic is in and out. It's probably noise gating. It's probably noise gating because there's too many other things happening. Oh, is it in and out when I lean over? When I lean over the hot plate, or is it in and out over here? I bet you it's noise gating because it's picking up something from the hot plate. I'm gonna not say anything. I'm just gonna lean over and watch the thing. Unclear. Um, Unclear. I'm gonna keep throwing stuff in this pot. Let's see. We've got vinegar, mango juice, an onion, some garlic. Um, 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 Tomato. Tomato's not a terrible idea. Chipotle. If we take it with some, I can't throw everything in there. No, we can't. We can't just go ooh and throw everything in there, or can we? No, we really shouldn't do that. hurry, let's throw in some tomato paste. I'm just spitballing a thing. I probably should taste it at some point just to make sure that I'm not entirely off track. I'm also not entirely sure what to do with these. Sorry, the view's not the best. I did not fully consider things when I set this up. I plotted it out for the disassembling of the main fruit, not for the cooking on the sides here. This needs more liquid. And in the interests of just letting it boil a little bit, we're going to go with some ordinary water. Okay. I think I should have diced up the core chunks a lot more. I don't think they're going to break down very well. I think they're going to stay as like pieces. But we'll see. I'm going to give that a chance. We're going to turn that thing up again and really boil the heck out of it. Was anyone paying attention? How long have the nuts been in there? Probably doesn't matter. I'm going to fish one out. Well, apparently I didn't get the skin off of this one. It still has the skin on it. Fish one out that doesn't have the skin on it. Wow, is that slidey. That one back in. Let's find out. It's hot. It's becoming whitish as it cools. Cuts relatively easily. There is another layer of a skin on it. Kind of crumbles apart in a chestnutty way. Ooh, it's there's definitely another layer of skin on these that I couldn't initially see. That's not good eating. But the inner part of them is very much like a chestnut in terms of texture. It's nice. It's like a really mild, nutty flavor. But there's this outer husk that they're a bit difficult to get apart from. That's not the best. but I dare say I think they're done because that one was tender. So let's turn the boil off. Oh, you can't even see it. Me. The most interesting thing is that the water has turned this bizarre pink. And I don't know where that came from. These things were not that color at all, but look at that. It's like, it's almost like wine. Such an odd thing. It's very hot. It's boiling hot. It's boiling hot. Recenter our camera here. Speaking of boiling hot, hoping these guys will break down. Put it against a light background. Yeah, my color balance is off. I noticed that as well. Hold on, let me brighten things up a little bit. I should have done that at the beginning. It's boiling hot, but there, it's like a dark. It's like a grape juice color, which is very interesting because the seeds, I can pull one out of the remaining fruit here, are just brown. They don't have that color to them at all. And apparently there's another skin on them besides the one I was already removing, because there's a hard, yeah, there is. There's a hard sort of rind on each one of these. It isn't the end of the world, but it does make them slightly more difficult to eat, I think. I am taste testing just a tiny bit. Nope. Definitely got to cook them. Definitely got to cook them. Fascinating. This fruit continues to fascinate me. Where did this pink come from? No element of this fruit is that color at any point in its lifespan. Where did that come from? Okay. Any other ideas while we're here? I'm going to get the nuts out of the bowl, or out of the pot here, into a bowl. We're going to do that over the sink to make sure I don't make a horrible mess. Okay, there's our nuts. And our nut water. Divide out the nuts that aren't cooked. Oh. What else do we do with this stuff? I'm in the mood kind of where I'm just going to keep cooking until I'm sick of it. And maybe just do tests on bits of this to see what happens over and over again. We're using a function on the Magic Pot that I don't think I've actually used up to this point, which is the saute, which is just, it runs the heater, but with the top open. Drawing a blank what to do with the boiled seeds other than dessert. You can see they get really white, and now that I know that there's an extra skin on them, that white is definitely the outer skin. Which makes them slightly more awkward. Because now I think I have to, yeah. The seeds are tasty, but they might not be worth the trouble if I have to skin them. It didn't come off that hard. They're very dry. They definitely have that cooked chestnut texture to them. Flavor is mild, vaguely peanutty, but really chestnut is the best descriptor. Oh, they kind of come out of their little skins. They kind of come out of their little skins. Oh, I see. They come out of the little skins except where the little germ is. That part really wants to hold on. We also haven't actually done anything with the fruit part of the fruit, these guys, other than nibble on them. This is a banana pepper that has gone over and turned bright orange. I was going to include it in the unnamed whatever this is turning into. I should probably taste that, see what I'm working with there as well. I like the, I'm not sure about the fibrous bits, but I like the flavors of everything I'm working with. It all just seems a little fussy. Like the seeds are tasty, but then they've got this extra skin that's hard to get off when they're not cooked, and hard to get off when they are cooked, which isn't a great combination. Maybe if I let them rest and really dry out, that will not that hard to get off. What do we do with those guys? What do we do with those guys? What do we do with those guys? Okay, that pot is not magnetic. Here, I'll demonstrate. Pot. Magnet. Same one I used on the other one. Doesn't stick, so you can't use that pot on the Induction, which is a mild bother. How about this one? Sticks to this one. Oh. We really are on no plan today, aren't we? The entire plan today was, let's cut up a jackfruit. And we sure did that, and now we're just futzing around. Switching boards because the green one is too slippy. Good when it was weighed down, not so good beyond that. There's still a little bit of water in these nuts, and I would really like them to completely dry out. Let's see if we can't, see how hard they are to peel once they've completely actually dried out. And they're gonna sit there by the sink and drip. It's been fun. I'm glad it's been fun. It's been directionless for me. Water tastes like nothing. The pink water tastes like nothing. So unless it's useful for a dye, I saved it just to see if it would taste like anything, since it was such a striking color, and it entirely does not taste like anything. So, oh well. Let's keep playing. Keep playing. Grab some fruit. Chuck it in the pan. Whoa! Whoa! Flemish! Flemish, hit us with a 5. Hit us with a 5. And Twitch coming in hot with number 6. You got Toka, you got Flamingo, you got Reiter, you got TKL, you got Zerudo, and Twitch grabbed Knobgoblin, which that's a good name. Thank you so much. I much appreciate. As you can see, Twitch is doing a thing where they throw in bonus subs, and it's at least one, but I have seen crazy numbers off of that thing. Somebody this morning dropped five gift subs, and Twitch jumped in with 10, which is insane. They must lose money on it. I don't know. But thank you so much. Twitch did the thing, got the bonus. I'm gonna try making a dessert item over here. That's the idea. That's my current what are we doing idea. What am I thinking? I don't know. Flamingo, you made it. There was a gift sub with your name on it. Welcome to the whatever this is. Welcome to the whatever this is. It's nonsense. Oh, and you kicked off a hype train. Didn't even see that. We have a train in progress. Alert. A chew. Where's my sugar? Here's my sugar. You can see some of the nonsense in the distance over here a little bit. There's my package of goji berries. Here comes the sugar. We're turning this guy on, but lower. We're hoping that maybe it doesn't freak out quite so hard. Zerudo, hi, welcome. We're in a very scuffed situation. Good to see you. We're in a very extra scuffed situation today. But welcome. How's it going? So I'm throwing some. I need a new spatula. It doesn't have curry on it. I'm throwing some jackfruit in with some sugar and some water. We're gonna cook it sweet on this side and hope that it doesn't mess with the microphone too bad. This water's pink. Let's taste it. Well, the pink water didn't taste like anything, so oh well. But yeah, exactly. We just did that. I accidentally made pink water, and we tasted it, and it tasted like water. Speaking of tasting, this side is starting to thicken up again. So now's a good time to give it a test for flavor. Oh, it's very flat. It needs something. Test for flavor and test for like edibility. We are well within the realm of some of this might not end up being food at the end. Grab one of these. The hype train's over. I got a little laughing dog. Okay. Here's a piece of our jackfruit from the pot. I'm going to get the big knife so I can do this in one quick stroke. The core has acted like a sponge and just soaked up the juice. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's literally, I can squeeze the juice out of it, and then it rebounds and kind of sucks it back up. That's bizarre. It's edible. It's sweet. It's crunchy. It needs something. It needs like some darker flavors. Let's see how well the fibrous end went. It's edible. interesting. It's definitely cooked down to the point where it's not tough anymore. Those core pieces are just the strangest thing I've ever worked with. But this needs some things, and it wants them before it completely cooks down. So we're gonna add some bitterness with some molasses. We're gonna add some savory with some soy sauce, because we got a lot of sweets going on in there. And do I have an open one of these? I actually do, so we're not going to open that one. We're going to go for this one. We have a little jar of chipotles in adobo, diced. And I'm just going to take a scoop of that and huck it in there. Got to keep an eye on the other side to make sure I don't lose track of that, because that's sugar now over there. Okay, and then we will let that keep simmering away and thicken up. We'll slide back over here. I don't actually want to caramelize that sugar. I want to make it thickened. So I'm gonna chuck in some corn syrup. Prevent it from hardening up. Corn syrup. America's syrup. Not sure what I'm doing with it, but I'm doing something. It's taken on a bit of an odd aroma. Definitely a little bit of an odd aroma on that side. On this side, I want this to thicken up to the point where it's like a sticky coating. Ooh. Ooh, it smells a lot better. I'm going to use that as a scoop for those chipotle peppers. I need a fresh spoon. Don't forget to taste your food as you go, or you won't know what you're... Oh my God. Ooh, that is nice. Ooh, that has become nice. I don't think we need any more of the mango juice. Ooh, that has become something. I wish I had diced up the jackfruit even more, because those pieces of the core did not break down at all and just became these big spongy things. And I was kind of hoping they would break down in the process. Over on this side, Over on this side, the fruit part of the jackfruit has not yielded any infusion of color into our sugar syrup at all. And smells like, boy, what does it smell like? What does jackfruit taste like? Well, so far, also hi Rayuya. So far, it tastes like a lot of different things. The pieces of ripe fruit that I got out of it here, when eaten raw, have a very mild, like tropical, almost papaya flavor to them. It's really light. It's very delicate. This fibrous in-between bit and the big spongy core have proven to be edible. They have basically no flavor. So on this side, I have cooked them with a lot of flavor, and they are providing a textural base for all of this. And the nuts, because there's also nuts, which have cooled off to the point where they're easy to handle, which is very nice, yielded a bunch of tasteless pink water. Oop. But they open up and are very much like little chestnuts on the inside. And we're not sure what to do with them. All in all, the flavors are very understated and delicate and odd. And I don't know what this is turning into on this side either. I think we're making candy. I think I'm making candy. Let's kill the heat on that. Because I have definitely cooked all the water out of this, and it's turning into a sticky mass. It's slightly yellowish, sticky mass. On this side, I added chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, soy sauce, and molasses to give us a bunch of savory and some spice to balance out the fact that we had quite a lot of sweetness. And it has, I think, achieved the sort of sticky coating state that I was looking for. And it's trying to stick to the bottom. So let's take the heat off over here as well. And we're in, for those of you just arriving, we're in this room because the jackfruit, the whole jackfruit, was too big to be able to see what I was doing in the other room without moving all my cameras around. So I figured as long as I'm moving my cameras around, I'll just move them in here and we'll do it in here. I only got through, let's see, half, that's a quarter. No, that's an eighth. We got through about a quarter of the fruit. So there's tons left. I will finish breaking it down on my own time. And I guess we're going to have more playtime with it because clearly there's a ton of it. We're going to find out if this part is worth it. This is the most interesting bit and also the most of the bulk of what we're actually getting out of it. I wonder if you can blend that. It's surprisingly dry for a fruit. Surprisingly dry for a fruit. Other than the sauces I just mentioned, in there is mango juice, salt, and red onion, and some cider vinegar. A little bit of oil to get started. I was going to make tacos. Hold on, let me grab stuff. I have. Get this mess. Look at this disaster. Oh, I'm having fun. We're having fun, aren't we? Unfortunately, that purple water didn't seem to result in anything worthwhile. How do I like the induction hot plate? Well, this is the first time I have used it. I have, other than testing to see if it worked by boiling some water, which it did, this is the first time I've actually used it. It heats up very fast. It definitely makes a bit of an odd noise when it's running. Some of my pans that I thought would work with it don't work with it. Most notably, this pan, which we use all the time. I tried putting it on there and it gave me an error, so I went and got a fridge magnet to see if this thing was magnetic, and it turns out this pan is not made of steel, and I don't know what it's made out of. It's probably aluminum, but damn, doesn't that look like a stainless steel pan? It's also heavy like a stainless steel pan. I don't know what this thing is made of. It's made of 8701, whatever that is. So that was a surprise. Can I dry the yellow pieces? Maybe. They're not terribly juicy to begin with, so they might dry easily. Or they might resist drying. I don't know what this syrupy stuff is that I made over here. And I don't know what I'm going to put it on. Or why I made it. I literally have no direction, and we're just sort of doing a fuss. Let me clear the way. The nuts taste good. But I am a little concerned by how fiddly they are to get out of their skins here. And that might lead me to not want to do any more nuts. Oh, I guess it is aluminum. It's very thick aluminum if it is. Thank you, Isosceles. Also, were you here already, Isosceles? You must have been. Yeah, you were. So I guess it's an aluminum pan. I've always thought that one was steel. It looks like a steel pan, and it's heavy. Come on. This is the trouble. This shell, this extra skin they have, is not hard. It's slightly leathery, so it wants to bend. The nuts are really good. They're very tasty. They're kind of hard to describe. The flavor is kind of hard to describe, which is unfortunate because you can't taste it. So you have to rely on me to describe it. I was sure that little pan was steel. I'll have to be careful what I cook in it now that I know it's aluminum. You're not supposed to cook acidic things in aluminum pans because it can mobilize the aluminum or something. I had been treating that one as steel. Okay. Let me get a plate. Let me get a plate. This is also a trial run to see how I get the setup going in here, because if I wanted to do any other arts and crafts, we haven't done it with this camera in here before, and I wanted to see how hard it was to get it set up, and it was actually pretty easy. I can think about adjusting the zoom. But we're just gonna make some tacos here. Someone said tacos. Someone said curry. Curry tacos. With some cabbage. Keep things veggie with some cabbage. Or I could do cabbage wraps. Cabbage. I need a new knife. And a scooper. All my stuff is in the other room. It's almost like I normally cook in the kitchen instead of in the dining room. Okay, I'm going to avoid the big pieces of the core. They're edible, but they cook in such a different way that I really think they should be separated and cooked separately if you want to eat them, which is kind of annoying. There, that's our first dish of the day. Jackfruit curry tacos. The camera station, which is right there, by the way, we're in the room with it, has stuff on it that was here on the table that I moved over there, which is unfortunate. I guess I will move some things real quick. Oh boy. Let's see, we have a dessert. We have a dessert thing. I feel like that's meant to be a topping for like vanilla ice cream or yogurt or something, because it doesn't feel like it's just meant to be eaten as is. But who knows, maybe it's going to harden up into a brittle while I'm wasting time here. Move stuff, move stuff. Oh boy, oh boy. Keep walking over there with you because I sort of instinctively head back to the camera when I should just be moving these peppers out of the way. We didn't use the pepper that's here on the table, or the emergency carrot. Okay. Let's pop them into the camera station, grab a quick snap, give them a taste, see what we're working with. The phone just made a noise. Okay. Okay, it's getting quite warm in here too. This room is not meant for cooking. Okay. I mean, I just kind of made a sticky, sweet, spicy sauce, which is exactly what that is. It's a sticky, sweet, spicy sauce. It does not taste of any kind of meat or of any kind of vegetable or fruit. And it needs a smidgen of sour cream. But the jackfruit is doing pretty much what I expect to do in an application like this. It's providing texture. It's providing interest to your mouth as you're biting into this. You could almost believe that there is some meat in there texture-wise. It's quite a bit of work to get all that out of there. But it's not bad. I wish someone else had done the work for me. I don't know that it's worth. And the thing is, you can get someone to do the work for you. You can buy jackfruit that's already been disassembled to its parts, and I think just do that. It's good. The sauce is a little bit too spicy, which is why I threw the sour cream on it. And I think that's where you're always going to fall down using a meat substitute like this, because it doesn't have any fattiness to it, which the sour cream is bringing. And without that fattiness, the spice is more at the forefront. It's a little more harsh. If you made this normally with pork or chicken, it would have some of that natural fattiness. Some of the fat from the meat would render into it. And it'd give you that sort of greasiness, but that would balance out the It would balance out the spice. I'm an expert and a grizzled veteran. I don't know about that. I don't even know where to get another one of these if I wanted to. I just happened to luck upon seeing one. Mm. That bite was noticeably tougher and immediately got stuck in my teeth. I think I've had green jackfruit, and I will tell you, it's better. Where'd my towels go? There. Green jackfruit as the meat part is better than this. As I finish disassembling this monster, I do not think I'm going to be saving the fibrous bits. I think I'm just going to save the yellow parts and the seeds. Because like I said, it's not bad, but I don't know that it's worth the trouble. Which is kind of a sad place to be with it. The fact that the core, which we weren't going to eat, and then I tested it, and it behaved strangely, it acts like a sponge, and the pieces, if I pull one out, the pieces don't break down at all. They just stay put. They tenderize, you can bite through them, but they don't break down at all. And then they just soak up a bunch of flavor. Which is actually super interesting. That bit, I think, is the more intriguing part than the fibery stuff. Okay, let me switch over to this and see what we got. Have you hard? No, but you're very sticky. Let's pull one of these out. What is that flavor? It's the flavor of the jackfruit, but with more sugar in it, it's changed. I don't know what I was thinking of making here. I just threw some sugar and fruit in a pan and hoped and hoped. It's this is jackfruit cooked in America sauce and also regular sugar. And I overshot a little bit. I was intending to leave a little bit of water in there to make it like kind of a syrup, and I cooked it all the way down to like a glaze. It tastes pretty good, honestly. I think that the jackfruit is enhanced by adding sugar to it. The trouble with it is the jackfruit itself has no juice. So, like these things are just so dry. Not like dry, but they're not juicy at all. Would that be good on ice cream? I think yes. Although I would need to thin it out a little bit because it's a little bit too thick right now. I definitely should have not thickened that up quite so far. Pork chops. That's the thing. It's a very delicate. I almost wish we put some of that with some of this. Make one thing. Very, very strange. It. What does it taste like? It reminds me of something. It reminds me of something. I overcooked it, so that's throwing me off a little bit. It reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of, like, I hate to say it, simple syrup. Because the flavor of the fruit is almost lost. Yeah. It's strange. The flavor of the fruit has not pulled through well in that at all and is almost completely gone. It was very mild to begin with. So I think what I'm picking up on is just it tastes like cooked sugar with just like a whisper of fruit, like a LaCroix of fruit on it. Which makes me think you want to process these fruits less because they're so delicate. They're pretty tasty just as a snacking fruit. We won't be doing that again because I don't think that was worth it, and the cleanup's going to be fun. You know what was interesting was this, the very first thing I did when I just took a slab and fried it in a pan with some oil. There was some of the fruit part in there, and that came out somewhat interesting, although it was a little bit oily. I think if you cooked it in just the tiniest bit of oil, you could build with that part of it into a savory because it is it's just so delicately sweet that you could build around it. I'm just kind of talking with my hands, brainstorming. Golly, I don't know what else I'm going to do with this thing at this point. Which probably means I should wrap up and then I can sit here and disassemble the rest of the fruit. We have enough of it that I'll try drying some of it, see how that works. I wonder if you can pickle it. Anyways, I think that means that I'm going to wrap us up because I made two things. I don't know what to do with these nuts. I'm not sure what to do with these nuts. I wish they were easier to peel because they're quite tasty. Jackfruit nuts plus the jackfruit fruit. Okay, I have to think. I have to give this the big think. So let's come back over here to my face so I can say so long farewell. Don't expect to be back in here anytime soon for cooking. We might end up with an arts and crafts thing in here if I want to do arts and crafts again. Otherwise, I'm going to shift us all back into the kitchen. But yeah, I'm going to wrap us up and I'm going to brainstorm things to do with this while I pull the remaining pieces out of the fruit and empty out the compost because this is going to produce a lot of compost. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Flemish for all those gift subs and to Twitch for the one bonus jumping in on the tail end there. Thanks to everyone who showed up. Always glad to see you. Come on back whenever. It's not always quite this chaotic. I usually have more of a plan, but I had no plan today. The cleanup is going to be a disaster. A disaster. Oh Lord, yeah, the cleanup is not going to be the best. I feel like I was very distracted. I'm also really hot. This room is way hotter than that, and I don't know why. But it's very warm in here. That's also distracting me for sure. Anyways, let's see who's on that I can shuffle you guys away to. Oh, LaFay was on earlier, but LaFay is no longer on. We're going to go raid Food Channel today. We're going to go see Dinner with Mom. We're going to go see Dinner with Mom today. We raided there once before, and I think we had a good time. But let's regale them with tales of this horror show. I keep looking over at how much jackfruit I've already got, how much more needs to be processed, and I'm just going to have a mountain of this stuff. Anyways, I will be back on Monday, barring, the typical me losing track of stuff or a mess or who knows. But I plan on being back on Monday. Probably with more jackfruit stuff because I'm going to have a ton of it. Making it worse, there's some stuck in my teeth already. Yeah, so I think we had a successful run with the camera in here. Going to keep that in mind for future projects that need the table. And I will see you guys next time. Yeah. I'm going to loom over you. Looks very different from this angle where you guys are way low. 2, 1.